Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Nicole of Woven Tales Designs. In today's video, we're doing kind of like a mashup video. We're doing a stash spotlight meets like a yarn experiment video. I first got this idea actually from Ashley of A Crafty Concept. She has her own really fun yarn experiments that she does with her own patterns, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to play around with yarn for my pattern, especially for my newest pattern, Jok the Frog, my enchanted frog prints pattern, because it is worked up so quickly, and I knew that this would be a fun way for me to boost my own crojo, get my own creative juices flowing. So if this is a kind of video that you would like, hang on tight. We're about to dive into about 5 or more ways that you can work up your own Jok the Frog with different types of yarn. Also, quick disclaimer, if you hear a little voice in the background, I am a mompreneur and I am a stay-at-home mom, so my son is always around me. Sometimes he's quiet, sometimes he's not. Sometimes I hit this during nap time hustle, sometimes I don't. So, just a quick disclaimer, that's the voice you hear. It is not a small animal, it is my child. All right, coming in hot at number 1, my tiniest of frogs. Oh my goodness, do you see him? I recently made a reel off of him. He is so cute. This is my smallest Jok the Frog prints. I didn't want to do a smile on him because I thought he was so dainty and he just deserved to just be this cute little like alert frog. He looks like he's just sitting looking up at the palace wishing he was back there. I did work this up with True Boo, which is a line brand yarn. This is like a bamboo cotton blend yarn. It actually was super soft on my fingers to work up. It hurt my hands to work it up though because it was so tiny and it felt so difficult to keep control of the yarn, but I'm not used to working with smaller yarns. This was a fun one, but isn't he so cute? The crown, I don't know if you can see in the video here, I actually double-stranded True Boo in goldenrod. This main color is celery, but the crown is double-stranded the goldenrod yarn with this really fun, in my yarn wall, this really fun cool like metallic-y lace weight yarn. I don't know where I got this from. I don't even think it's yarn. I think it's just like a fun like thing that you can get from a knitting website to add sparkle to your project. I got this ages ago, like years ago, but I got this to go with this little guy and I think it worked really well. I actually am mad that I didn't add this to any of the other frogs, so this is the only one that got it because he was so dainty and he just needed his own little magical moment, but I love him so much. So this was number 1. This is coming in hot too at 3.5 inches tall. He's so mini. I forgot to mention I used a size 3.5mm hook for this guy to work it up. It called for a 4 on the label, but I just went a half size under because again, I'm really fiddly with the smaller size hooks. I didn't want to go too small either, else I would lose control of myself. All right, the second frog that I worked up in a category 4 weight yarn is this little guy. Now I love him because he looks like a jelly bean to me. This guy is worked up with, oh my gosh, Impeccable Speckle yarn. Impeccable by Loops and Threads. I got this yarn at Michael's. This is in the color Soft Jade, I believe. Yeah, I got my notes over here. Soft Jade. I did only go a half size down with him again, kind of like the True Boo yarn. This was worked up with a 4.5mm hook. It called for 5 on the label. And then the crown is just worked up with a standard weight 4 yarn scraps that I have. I think this is like Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek, but this guy I used the same type of eyes as this one, so similar eyes, same size. Actually, you can see the difference and when I don't size up in the eyes from the like smaller weight yarn to the other weight yarn, definitely does make a difference. And I didn't give him any blush, but I did give him a smile. I used like a darker green yarn. I don't know if you can see that, but he turned out pretty good. I think next time if I were to remake this or maybe just like do over the smile, I'll probably use a black yarn because it really doesn't show up as well. I was trying to see what a darker green would look like with him just because he has so many different shades, but I really like him. I like how little he is. This guy, and I haven't measured him yet, he is coming hot at, wait for it, from toe to crown, toe to crown, he's coming in at 5 inches, 5 inches around. So 5 inches tall with this little guy, but I think he looked really good. This yarn felt really good on the fingers to work up, by the way. I think I will not forget about the Impeccable Speckle yarn. I would love to use this yarn again for other projects. I thought that the speckling in the yarn kind of brought like a fun confetti look to it, which is really nice, and I didn't have to do anything extra, and this would definitely catch an eye at a craft show. So love this guy. Number 2, my impeccable speckle guy. All right, number 3 of the different way I've styled Jok the Frog, or worked him up, I should say. It's a little bit of a twin moment here. So I'll show you 2 ways I worked it up with this yarn. I used Yarn Bee's Soft and Sleek Baby yarn. This is a worsted weight yarn. It's a little bit softer than the Soft and Sleek standard regular, I guess, adult yarn, but I think they're honestly the same. This is in the colorway Baby Sage. I use about 4.5 millimeter hook, and then these guys are coming in measuring at about 5 inches again. So same thing as the impeccable speckle. But I used it for this one. I used a cotton weight yarn, Pima Suprema, for the crown. Loved how it worked up, a little bit of more structure in that because it's cotton, and definitely love that I added blush to this guy. It has the same eyes as the other 2 frogs, and I just really like it. So this is another standard one. This is a lighter green, kind of like more of like a rustic green, pastel-y color, more of like an Easter green, I guess. I don't know. Pick your poison. And then I also worked him up the same yarn, but I wanted to do a different crown just to see how it would look. This is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Adult Soft and Sleek with the colorway, I think it's mustard or gold, I don't know, it's one of the yellow ones. And this one I did really, really big eyes for, and I actually kind of love the buggy look. I'm not gonna lie, I like the buggy kind of like exaggerated looks. I think they're fun. If my mom would be watching this video, she'd be like, those aren't real frog eyes, but I disagree. I really love the difference between the 2 here because of the eyes, and then I kind of went ahead and exaggerated the smile a little bit. It's more of a U shape here, it's more of a V shape here, so you're definitely getting 2 different looks between the 2, but they're using the same exact base yarn. They're both getting blush, but I just like that. It just kind of shows like if you have a particular style, explore it, see what works for you. This is definitely helping me because I would love to create more amigurumis down the road, but I just, you know, I don't know what my style is yet. I know I like magical things, but I don't know my style until I play around with some yarn. Yay! So that is number 4, using the Baby Sage by Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Baby. I lied. This is style number 3, not 4. But it's technically 3A and 3B if you want to break it down that way. All right, and then style number 4 that I worked up Jok the Frog in, I'm bringing 2 in again. Very different examples of this yarn. I kind of want to briefly talk about if you work up projects with one style of yarn versus another, but it's the same brand and the same name on the label, it's still gonna work up a lot differently, even in size too. So just be careful. Like, I don't think you need to work a gauge swatch for like amigurumis, in my opinion. I think you just do what you want with amigurumi. I think that's why people love it. There's more freedom to it. But know that different yarns will act, certain yarns will act differently in the line of yarn. For example, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. Great yarn. It's great for beginners. It doesn't really do a lot of splitting. It is a very, very easy, workable yarn. My biggest drag with it is that I can't use it in my knitting machine, and I hate that because I love all of the colorways that they have and the prints, and they have solid stonewash prints, ombre, gradient. They have, and then tons of metallics. Like, they have tons of different styles within the I Love This Yarn yarn line. However, they are literally each a different yarn in my personal opinion. Okay, so breaking it down, the first version of this I Love This Yarn frog that I worked up is using the solids I Love This Yarn. This is worked up with dark olive. This is a color I've had in my stash for a long time. I actually had this to work up as a lily pad, and then I was like, actually I want to try to work up like a darker frog. So I really like this guy. He's super cute. I went with the big buggy eyes again. I went with the Pima Suprema cotton yarn for the crown, and this is coming in hot again at 5 inches. Pretty standard for the 4 weights I found. You'll see in a second though how it'll change. And I will say though, this is a softer yarn. This yarn itself does not, the softer yarns to me that aren't as like stiff, kind of like give me some like trouble, because the softer it is, the more holes in your work that you're gonna get, because the yarn isn't staying true to the stitch. It's just gonna kind of like, it doesn't exactly stay within the stitch. It kind of just like tenses up, and then it doesn't, like, I don't know. The softer yarns like feel good on the hands, but they don't always work out with amigurumi. Comment down below if you agree with me, or if there are some softer yarns that work better for you. I think it also depends on the fiber structure. This is acrylic. It doesn't really have a fiber structure. It's just plastic basically. But so this is what it looks like with the soft dark olive color. I used a light green yarn for the smile this time, and I still went with some blush. I think the blush looks cute. I like the light green smile. It's very contrasting, very different. So that's the one side of I love this yarn. The other side, I used Dappled Wheat is the color. This is one of their prints yarns, but I will say I've used tons of their print, I love this yarn prints, and they are each colorway is different. I don't know how they strip the yarn of color and add color in. I don't know what they do to get their certain looks and their colorways, but this is a really dry yarn compared to this. And comparatively, this is what happens. When I am able to use, I use the same hook. I used a 5mm hook for both of them. This worked out bigger than this did because this is drier, and when I was like pulling with my yarn with my one hand and crocheting with the other hand, the stitches just stayed at the height that they began in. There was no, like, anytime I yanked the yarn when I like went to like pull through too, which I'm a yanker when I crochet. I don't know what style of crocheter you are, I'm a yanker. But when I did that, the stitches just stayed where they were. They started and ended the same way. This guy definitely worked up bigger. It worked up a whole 1/4 of an inch bigger than this guy, which is crazy to me. I ended up actually using the smaller eyes, the ones that I used on the Trubu, on this guy. I did give it some blush. I did give it another standard smile. And I used the same type of yarn for the crown. But it is so wild how different these two are. I probably won't use this again to make the frog because I didn't really like how it almost like washed out, like it had been in the sun for a long time. The more I worked up the frog in this, the less I liked it. I'll probably just keep the yarn for something else in the future, but I probably won't use it for my own personal style. But if you like it, that's cool. Not a big deal, but it wasn't my cup of tea. 2 ways of I love this yarn, worsted weight yarn, solids versus prints. Definitely check your yarn feels out, trust your instincts, go with what you think is good. But you know, this is definitely different. I probably could do a whole series on the different I love this yarns and how they work up with my patterns. That would be actually a really fun video. Comment down below if that is something you would like to see. And tying in at the end, number 5, last but not least, is double-stranded frogs. Okay, so technically these make it out to being more of like a 5 weight because I'm double-stranded 2 yarns at the same time, but I'm still gonna put it with this group because I'm using the yarns that you saw from this video already. So these are actually the hybrid of the Trubu yarn and the I love this yarn yarns that we saw today. I did that because I wanted to see how much bigger would it work up. I wanted to see, you know, is this high contrast something that hurts my eyes, or is it nice? You can let me know in the comments below if the double-stranded thing kind of hurt your eyes a little bit. This one kind of hurts my eyes a tiny bit just because it's such a high contrast. I use the dark olive and that Trubu in celery. It is a lot on the eyes, but I actually think it's really dynamic looking. Some people might like this, some people might not. It's totally up to you. It's a little more muted using the dappled wheat. Again, this worked up stiffer because I used the like stiffer version of the I love this yarn colors, and this got its perfect stiffness. Like the stitches were perfect once I added the Trubu to the dark olive. It was too soft on its own, and it was like literally perfect when I double stranded that yarn together. Let's see, how tall are these froggies? So these are like 5.5 inches. So you just get another, maybe like 6 inches almost. It's almost like 6 inches tall. So it's another inch taller than these ones right here, which is great. I really loved this part of the experiment because I thought it was cool. I actually then also took a DK weight yarn for the crown, and I double stranded that, and it gave it a great stiffness on the crown. It worked up perfectly. I really don't have to like adjust the crown once I make it with a double stranded yarn. So I would imagine if you were looking to find something that makes the crown a little bit stiffer, maybe consider double stranding a smaller weight yarn or a lighter weight yarn so that you get that effect, because it was a lot better. Yeah, I don't even know what size hook I used for this. I think I used a 5.5mm hook for this, I'm pretty sure. I still tried to keep the tension pretty tight. I actually think the toes worked up even better too, using the double stranding method for this, just because there was more structure to the puff stitch that I used here. But yeah, these are my frogs. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more yarny goodness and magical maker lifestyle stuff from me here at Woven Tales Designs. Please let me know in the comments down below. Do you have something in your stash that you've been dying to get into, but green is just not normally your color? What will you use for this Jok the Frog pattern if you were to actually work it up yourself? Let me know. And on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. It was a shorter one. Stay tuned for part 2 of this video where I launch into the bulky weight versions of Jok the Frog. They are fun. You're not going to want to miss that. And these guys have had such a great time with me today. This one's probably my favorite, the little guy, but he was like my least favorite to work up. I don't know why. If you've liked today's content, please give me a thumbs up to let me know, and also subscribe and hit the bell button so you are notified of part 2 of this video dropping and of other future vlogs, tutorials, other things. Be my yarny friend. All my socials are down below. Also, I would love for you to join my Ever After Club. That is our Facebook group where we kind of share all of our makes that we make with the patterns here from this channel and my pattern shop. So join that and don't be afraid to say hi. And on that note, I hope you all have a creative day adding magic to your stitches in your own way, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! Oh gosh, whatever you like would do for you. I'm gonna shut this stupid thing off. Dang it, but not really. Excuse me, I'm burping.